big words, really.
No.
Geology, though, I never had to do that. Oh, that's terrible.
Just for fun, we'll ask you to read rapidly from a little treatise.
Oh,
With a lot of 16-syllable words.
okay. When I teach down in South America, I just can't talk slow enough, and the translators are in a room in the back doing this. And I thought they were waving at me. Went, then they got even more furious with me. Gosh, I can't help it. I try to slow down.
I know.
It's so hard to do that. Yeah.
I have a clean set of the slides without the writing on them that I would like to substitute in for 115 and offer as substantive evidence.
If there's no writing on it, then I have no objection.
It should just slip right in the folder, if that's okay. Yes, he still will need it, so. And I need to tell council that I was not able to install the slide that he was requesting or asking about, so I will not be using it.
I'm sorry?
Mr. Allen asked me about the missing slide. I was not able to get it in over the recess, so I will not be using it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. It was just that I want to point out to her that that was missing from
I appreciate
it.
that. I was not
No,
able
I was waiting for her to bring the jury in.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
I know, I went like that. It
Yeah,
was miscommunication.
I'm at your beck and call, Your Honor. You know that.
Uh,
Yeah, we're just trying to
I know.
please Your Honor.
But I'm not going to have you go get the jury. I know you would. Please be seated. Members of the jury, the state would like to substitute a clean copy, clean meaning it doesn't have his typing on it, of Exhibit 115. So you'll be receiving that exhibit as the through page F. It will not have his highlights on it. So, but as he goes through the testimony, you can certainly make notes if you wish. The minute he puts his highlights on it, it becomes his testimony. And we don't send his testimony back to the jury room because it would tend to highlight some testimony over other testimony. You're free to make whatever notes you want. It's the jury's role to highlight whatever testimony you think is important. So we don't send the testimony back there in testimonial form. We simply send you the exhibits. You can make whatever weight, place whatever weight you wish on the various exhibits. All right.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Schneck, I understand it would be helpful for you to have a full copy of your photos, is that correct?
That'd be correct.
Do I need to get this marked, Your Honor, to refresh? I mean, it's not really to refresh, it's part of his file.
Is that the
but,
same one?
It's just colored versions of what he has. He thinks it would be easier
All
to
right.
use this.
You want to do 116?
I think it'd be 117?
Next exhibit.
Oh, okay. 116, please.
State's Exhibit 116, I think.
Okay, Union States 116, if that assists in your testimony. Okay. I'd like to direct your attention back up to slide D. What does that show?
Well, that a hot sauce packet on the left of the yellow bell pepper, the epidermis of the skin of a yellow bell pepper. On the right side, there is another image which is entitled Stomach Contents. That is a comparison image of the same type of material, which I identified as the skin of a yellow bell pepper. Now what you're seeing are images from two separate microscopes which have been combined optically. Imagine there's a microscope you're looking through. Imagine another one right next to it. On one stage of the microscope, the left image would be a microscope slide. Then on the stage of the other microscope next to it, there'd be a microscope slide with what's called stomach contents on it. And then the images are recombined with prisms, so I'm looking through eyepieces so I can see a split screen image of what's on the left-hand side and what's on the right-hand side. Then there's a camera mounted which takes a picture of that. So that's a comparison of two different items.
Okay. And then did those appear similar to you under the microscope?
Yes, they did. Again, with images such as these, finding exact similarity is virtually impossible because each cell wall is going to be its own separate, unique shape in itself. But we're looking at similarities in width of cell walls and the overall shape of them.
Okay. Now, you indicated that you actually purchased a yellow bell pepper, is that right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Is that what we're looking at here?
Yes, that's a magnified image of yellow bell pepper on the left and the stomach contents showing the yellow bell pepper
Okay.
on the right.
So on D, it was the yellow bell pepper from the hot sauce, and on E, it's the yellow bell pepper that you purchased.
Yes, it is.
On F, can you tell us what we're looking at there?
From one of the hot sauce packs, there were seeds within it. And seeds, of course, can come in various sizes and shapes. These are two seeds from the hot sauce pack with a millimeter scale above them to give you a relative idea of size. And the lower image on the lower right-hand corner is an image of the stomach contents. And within that image, pretty much in the center of the image, a little bit low of center, is a seed, which is similar in morphology or shape as the seeds from the hot sauce packet.
Now, you indicated that digestion continues after death. Does it slow down?
Well, yes.
Okay. Is there any way to say with absolute precision how long it's been since a meal was consumed?
No, not at all.
But in your opinion, and based on what you know, you said it could be up to 6 hours depending on the size of the meal and the person. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And I got just one moment. Mr. Schick, I'd like to clarify precisely what you bought at the Taco Time. I think that you said you bought a meal 3, is that right?
Yes.
And referencing your report, did you buy other items as well?
Yes, I did.
Okay, what was the meal 3 that you bought, if you can remember?
Well, let me read from my report,
Okay.
actually.
If that will refresh your memory.
Certainly will. A crisp taco shell with refried brown pinto beans, lettuce, chopped red tomatoes, and yellow shredded cheese, and Mexi fries.
Okay, That was the number 3 meal, or that's what you purchased?
That's what it's the number 3 meal.
Okay, did you not also purchase a soft burrito meal?
I purchased samples of soft and hard shell taco, burrito
Right.
shells, and salsa.
Wait just a moment. Mayor, I cannot locate what I'm looking for, so I'd like to finish my questions at this point and reserve and ask for the right to reopen briefly at the close of class.
Fine, well,
I am looking for the top of time menu that is contained in his report. It's a voluminous report.
any objection, counsel?
This is it, yeah.
Did you find it?
I did. Thank you.
State's Exhibit 117, I think.
Okay, Mr. Schneck, I want to hand you with some more States Exhibit 117. And this came from your lab notes. Does that appear to be the taco time menu from where you purchased the meal?
This is actually the taco time menu off the internet, not where I actually purchased the meal.
Okay, well, when you review that as the taco time menu, do you see anywhere on there that you can get a crisp taco with beans as opposed to a crisp taco with beef? Unless you, I presume, specifically asked for it.
Well, the crisp taco on the first page is with beef. First page are the tacos, then we go on to burritos.
Did you also purchase a soft taco?
Yes, I did.
And did you test the soft taco?
Ye- I believe I did in my notes. I can refer to that.
Okay, please do.
The soft taco referring to?
Yes, and was that what you purchased with beans?
Yes.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions.
Russ?
Mr. Schneck, when you began this investigation, you were provided with the specific combination meal that Taco Time and the detectives believe Nicole Pietz purchased on January 27, 2006. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
You were also provided with the specific ingredients contained in that particular combination meal. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And it's your conclusion that Nicole Pietz's stomach contents are inconsistent with the ingredients of that particular combination meal. Is that true?
Of the exact ingredients, that is true.
The meal that you were told Taco Time believed Nicole Pietz purchased was a combination meal number 4 from Taco Time.
I believe it was number 4. I have to refer to an email I received. I believe it was in Kathleen Decker.
And to assist you in that, I believe it's page 42 of your report.
42. Yes. Well, now I don't see meal deal number 4 on here, though. Do I? Let's see.
Perhaps it doesn't have the meal number on there, but you were provided very specific information regarding the combination meal.
You're right enough that you'd be allowed to answer the question that was put to him.
I think you get it, counsel. It's a new question. He may answer.
You were provided with very specific information regarding the combination meal.
Yes, I was.
The combination meal that you were told Nicole purchased contained 2 crisp tacos
Yes.
and Mexi fries,
Yes.
and a drink.
Correct.
You were also provided information regarding the contents of the crisp tacos. Is that correct?
That is correct.
None of the ingredients in the crisp tacos were pinto beans.
None of the ingredients listed are pinto beans.
There were no beans of any kind in the crisp taco ingredients that were provided to you by the investigators.
That is correct.
The ingredients in the crisp tacos included beef,
Correct.
tomatoes,
Yes.
cheddar cheese,
Yes.
and lettuce.
Correct.
And we already discussed the Mexi fries. Are you aware that that's a potato product?
Yes.
And you were informed that they identified this particular meal because it was consistent. It was the only menu item consistent with the amount that Nicole used to purchase the meal that evening.
Yes.
You've discussed at length how you examined Nicole Pietz's stomach contents on direct examination. And in the course of your investigation, you didn't find any meat in the stomach contents.
I found no meat in the stomach contents.
You would expect to see meat given the state of the other contents in Nicole's stomach,
Probably would have found meat if it was a large component of the meal.
because skeletal muscle is more resistant to decay and decomposition than other types of food and plant products. Is that true?
That's true.
It takes much longer to break down.
Typically it does.
You didn't find any tomatoes in Nicole's stomach contents.
No, I did not.
Along with that, you didn't find any tomato seeds either, did you?
No, I did not.
And
Excuse me.
you testified about seeing some other seeds in the stomach contents. Is that true?
Yes.
And there's nothing that would be different about tomato seeds versus, say, pepper seeds that would cause tomato seeds to decompose faster.
No.
So, given what you observed in the stomach contents, you would have expected to see some evidence of tomatoes or tomato seeds if they had been consumed.
Tomato seeds. Yes.
You also didn't see any lettuce.
So no lettuce.
And lettuce has a very kind of specific cellular structure, doesn't it? It's kind of a wavy cellular structure if you look at it under a microscope.
It does. A lot of vegetables have that similar wavy structure. There's some things that make it specific to lettuce.
But you didn't see any of those types of structures in Nicole's stomach contents.
And no, I did not.
And wouldn't you have expected to see some evidence of lettuce if lettuce had been consumed with this meal?
Depending on how much was originally in the meal, if it's a small portion, maybe, maybe not.
Well, you went to Taco Time. You actually bought a meal to see how much lettuce was in it, right?
Yes.
Okay. And it's more than just a couple of little shreds of lettuce. I mean, there's some volume to it.
Guess it depends on how much she actually would have eaten.
Well, if we
Maybe she could have lettuce, but doesn't necessarily mean she ate it.
Okay. But if we assume that someone ate the whole taco, there's enough lettuce there that you would expect to see it. Isn't there?
You would expect to see probably some, yes, if there was some there. If there's a large volume of it there.
You also purchased Mexi fries to look at the Mexi fries because that was part of the combination meal you were told she'd purchased.
Yes,
And you examined them under the microscope,
correct,
and you measured them,
correct.
and you noted their physical structure of the Mexi fries.
Yes,
And the Mexi fries, when you look at it under a microscope, are kind of little oily, fat crystals. Is that right?
that's one way to describe it, yes, and we stain them with particular stains to highlight some of the structures, yes.
Didn't you also describe them using a term, and I hope I pronounce it right, birefringence?
Birefringence, yes.
Okay, is that how you describe the Mexi fry composition?
That's an optical word that's used in optical mineralogy and crystallography, which can be found in many materials, but I did use that word in this case.
And when you used it in this case, you used it to describe the kind of refractive properties of the starch and cells and so forth.
Yes,
You didn't see any of those characteristics in Nicole Pietz's stomach contents.
did not see Mexi fries.
And so as a result of your examination and your knowledge regarding the contents of the combination meal number 4, when you went to Taco Time, you didn't even purchase a number 4.
I had no record of a number 4 on the email message. All I have is
Well,
I didn't know about a number 4, though.
okay. But you didn't even purchase the 2 crisp beef taco meal when you went,
I saw no reason to.
because Nicole's stomach contents weren't consistent with that meal. Is that true?
They weren't consistent with the specific ingredients that were given to me in that email message from Kathleen Deckard.
Now, Mr. Schneck, wasn't there a certain amount of pressure from the investigating detectives to confirm that Nicole's stomach contents were consistent with food purchased at Taco Time?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Well, didn't the detectives send you emails telling you that they were really hoping that the stomach contents would line up with a number 4?
Well, they can hope all they want. The problem is I don't care what they say. I'm into looking at the evidence and what it says.
Well, I'm interested in what information they provided to you before you even started your investigation here.
Mhm.
And if you would please turn to page 42 of your bench notes.
Okay?
Are you there?
Yes.
Oh, you're there. Okay. Actually, if you could turn to page 44. And on 28th, 2006, didn't Detective Kathleen Decker email you and say, Bill, just checking to see if you have unearthed anything big. Inquiring minds inquiring. We are pulling for the Taco Time number 4 combination dinner.
That's exactly what's in my messages.
And did I read that correctly?
Yes, you did.
And was I correct that that was a March 28th, 2006 email from Detective Decker to you?
Yes, at 1:54 p.m.
And that was before you had even started your investigation in this case.
I believe it was.
Well,
Let me take a look at my notes to confirm that. Yes, it was probably maybe 2 weeks before. I started on April 19th,
right,
2006.
Because if we look further up on page 44, you replied to that email and you actually said you were about to start this particular case.
Yes.
The reason that you purchased this particular meal that you purchased, the number 3 meal with the beans, was because you were trying to find a meal that most closely resembled Nicole's stomach contents. Is that true?
I was trying to find a meal that pretty much covered the gamut of what they serve at Taco Time, also comparing to what I found. So I didn't find meat, so I wasn't going to buy anything that had meat in it.
And you were able to purchase a number 3 meal, which was a crisp taco with beans. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you didn't have to do any substitutions.
I'm not sure I understand.
Well, the menu item that you purchased was a number 3 combination meal, and it was a crisp bean burrito. And if you want to refer to your report, I guess you can look at page 1 of your February 8th report.
Yes.
Is that correct? It was a number 3, and the entree menu item in it was a crisp taco shell with refried brown pinto beans.
Correct.
You didn't have to do any substitutions in order to walk away with that particular meal.
Well, now I had to look at the, because I found other ingredients in her stomach besides the pinto beans. So I did look at the salsa packets.
Correct. But you didn't have to say, switch out meat for beans. You were able to buy a number 3, which had beans in it.
Yes.
And even when you went and looked at the number 3 and compared it to Nicole Pietz's stomach contents, that wasn't consistent with all of the ingredients in the number 3 either, was it?
Correct.
Because there was no lettuce,
Correct.
there were no tomatoes,
No tomatoes,
and there were no Mexi fries.
no Mexi fries.
Now, Mr. Schneck, isn't there a significant debate within the scientific community regarding how much information a scientist should be provided by the detectives about their theory of the case before conducting any experiment?
Excuse me, Your Honor, I dropped my notes.
You're free to lean over and pick them up.
Thank you very much. Of course,
If you need to stand up to do that, that's okay too. I'm not confining you to that chair.
staples are good, so are these. But when they're not on,
Go ahead and take your time if you need to.
I'm fine. Could you repeat your question once more for me? I'm ready whenever you are.
Isn't there a significant debate within the scientific community regarding how much information a scientist should be provided by the investigators regarding their theory of the case before the scientist conducts any experiments?
Yes.
And there is a substantial portion of the scientific community that believes the scientist should have very limited or no information regarding the investigator's theory of the case prior to conducting any experiments.
Well, this discussion, I'd have to say no. This discussion usually goes on at national, international debates in which prosecutors and defense attorneys are involved in these debates. And of course, there are people that believe we should know anything when we conduct experiments. But we're doing a bit of work here. We'd like to know what's germane to the area that we're interested in. We're not so much interested in who said what to who, when, and where, and how. In this particular case, I'm mostly interested in the autopsy, the gastric contents, purchases, what did she eat prior to this, during the day or the weeks before, things like that. But I agree there is a substantial debate out there.
Right. This isn't something that I'm just making up.
No, it's not.
Okay. There's actually a term for it in the scientific community. There's several different terms. I think the one that you've used before is unintentional bias.
That is a word I've used before.
It's also known as confirmatory bias,
Yes.
or contextual bias, or cognitive bias.
Yes. Well, cognitive bias, I haven't heard that, but
Okay.
that could be another word.
But you're familiar with the concept that I'm describing.
Yes, I am.
And unintentional bias, confirmatory bias, these types of concepts describe the tendency of individuals, and in the scientific context, scientists, the tendency to favor information that confirms their beliefs or hypotheses. Is that a fair way to describe the concept I'm describing?
In the concept, I would say yes.
Okay. It also is characterized by the tendency to interpret ambiguous evidence as supporting an existing or hoped for position. Is that?
I'm not familiar with that concept in any great depth, though.
Well, but I mean, just at a very basic level, isn't the worry that if you have too much information about what the investigators are hoping to find, that it could influence your experiment in some way, even though you don't know it's influencing you?
Some people would like to think there could be some type of unconscious behavior that could occur during a scientific experiment or test that could offset the true facts, which I was looking at.
And the concern would be that you would be relying on the framework that the investigators had provided, or one particular piece of information that they had provided you, and that had somehow skewed or directed your experiment in one particular direction. Would that be fair to say?
In context of the terminology and the hypotheses that we're discussing, yes.
That's what the concern would be if one were worried about unintentional bias.
From that perspective, that's correct.
And I guess it's inherent in the name, but unintentional bias means that it can have effects on the scientist's experiment or research, even though the scientist didn't intend or doesn't think that it's having such an effect.
Correct.
And in this case, the only reason you went to Taco Time was because of information provided to you by the detectives.
No.
It's not.
No.
You would have gone to Taco Time if they had never told you anything about Taco Time?
There's a good chance I would have gone to a Taco Time restaurant like Taco Time, Taco Bell, Taco Time, Loco Taco, anywhere where they have refried Mexican food.
Sure. There's a lot of places out there that sell Mexican food.
Yes.
There's a lot of places out there that sell food with pinto beans in them.
Yes.
There's a lot of places out there that sell food with corn and wheat starch in them.
Well, certainly.
In this case, you went to Taco Time.
Yes, I did.
You talked on direct examination about some starches that you found when you examined the stomach contents.
Yes.
You can't say that the starches that you observed in Nicole's stomach contents came from a tortilla or a taco shell.
No, you cannot do that.
All you can say is that they're starches.
And the specific type, yes.
Sure. But in this case, corn or wheat starches.
Yes.
In fact, when you looked at Nicole's stomach contents, there was no clump or breading of material consistent with a tortilla or a taco. When you went to Taco Time and you bought the taco shells and you examined them under the microscope, you were actually able to look at the starches and the structures and so forth contained within the taco shell.
Yes.
And when you looked at the taco shell under the microscope, what you saw was not really consistent with anything that you had seen in the stomach contents.
Well, in this case, we're looking at just a taco shell. So what I'm looking at in the stomach contents were primarily refried beans.
Mr. Schneck, would you turn to page 4636 of your bench notes? Oh, sorry, that's my pagination. I think it's your 58.
58.
58?
I'm on page 58.
And does page 58 contain pictures that you took of the various taco and burrito shells when you looked at it with a microscope?
Yes, they do.
And when you looked at Nicole Pietz's stomach contents, you didn't see anything that looked like these particular pictures, did you?
Well, not these particular pictures, no.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask for permission to publish these photos to the jury for illustrative purposes only.
May I go there? Mr. Schneck, is there a depiction on page 58 of a crisp taco shell?
No, there is not.
I object, it's not relevant.
Your Honor, this is what he bought when he went to Taco Time. For purposes of his analysis, he analyzed it. I think it's relevant. Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Show it to the witness first, make sure that it's, is this out of your notes?
Yes, it is. It is. Yes, it is.
Part of his evaluation. You may show it to the jury.
Mr. Schneck, we didn't see any of these particular pictures in the PowerPoint that the state showed you on direct examination, did we?
Oh, no, we did not.
And you didn't see, you don't have any pictures similar to this that you took during your examination of Nicole Pietz's stomach contents?
Yes, I do.
What page would that be on?
Page 24.
Page 24, is that a picture of, on the top, wheat and cornstarch, and then on the bottom, cornstarch?
Yes.
And are those pictures that you took of Nicole Pietz's stomach contents?
Correct.
Your Honor, I would request permission to publish this particular picture to the jury for illustrative purposes.
Same thing. Put him in.
Yes.
Really.
Is that marked as an exhibit, or?
No.
We mark it 118.
Why don't we mark the first one that I was using 118 and the second one 119?
Defendant's exhibits 118 and 119.
Mr. Schneck, just to confirm, in my left hand, I'm holding your pictures of the taco shell, and in my right hand, I'm holding your pictures of Nicole's stomach contents.
I'm going to object, he has mischaracterized what
The prior exhibit is, there is no taco shell on that exhibit.
The soft taco, the
All right, Counsel, why don't you have him describe what's in those?
Left hand first?
Sure.
Okay.
Exhibit 118.
Exhibit 118, there's an image of a soft taco shell and a crisp burrito shell in the top image. Then there's some microscopic images below that, 4 in number, which show the starch types within the soft taco and crisp burrito shell.
And can you describe what's in my right hand, which is Defendant's Exhibit 119?
Yes, in Exhibit 119, the top image is item number 1. That's the gastric contents from Nicole Pietz, showing wheat and corn starch. And the lower image is also from her stomach, showing a fragment of a cornstarch.
Your Honor, permission to publish to the jury. Mr. Schneck, we've heard a lot of testimony about pinto beans. When you first looked at the stomach contents, you weren't able to identify them as pinto beans, without reference to anything else.
Well, actually, my first thought was, well, first of all, it's a bean due to its structure, microscopically, where the starch are in these what are called cotyledons, these little packets microscopically, and the starch is within them. And the shape of that packet is reminded me of, well, pinto beans and a few other types of beans. So then I went further and looked at refried beans.
If you would turn to page 1 of your bench notes, please. And doesn't page 1 describe your initial review of the stomach contents and contain some diagrams regarding what you ultimately determined to be pinto beans?
Yes.
On page 1, you're just describing the characteristics. Nowhere in there do you say they're actually pinto beans.
Correct.
In fact, there's a lot of other kinds of beans that show up in cuisine in America, aren't there?
Yes, there is.
For instance, there's kidney beans.
Yes.
The only type of bean that you actually analyzed under a microscope in this case was a pinto bean.
Yes, correct.
You didn't look at kidney beans or any other beans under microscopes.
Not under a microscope. They were examined by other methods. Well, I did look at images, histological images of beans from just different textbooks.
But in terms of looking at them under a microscope, under similar conditions and so forth, the only thing that you looked at were pinto beans.
Correct.
Going back to starches, the starches that you observed were wheat and corn starches?
Well, the wheat and corn starch and the bean starch. But the difference is the bean starch, it's cooked material, so the structure that you can see, we're talking about birefringence earlier, the structures that you can see with cooked starch, they no longer exist when they're cooked. It turns into a gelatinized goo, pretty much. So the intact starches, the only two intact starch grains we saw were wheat and corn.
And those are very popular starches in American cuisine.
They're rather common. Corn,
Corn and wheat.
wheat, potato.
I mean, isn't wheat
Rice.
in almost every bread product?
Well, if it's wheat bread.
Okay. Well, but isn't wheat the foundation for flour usually?
Wheat is, often, yes.
Okay. So it's in bread, crackers,
Could find it in crackers,
cookies,
cookies,
cereal,
cereal, sure.
pasta.
Well, then it's cooked, then you wouldn't tell. You couldn't tell what type of starch it was if it was in a pasta.
Okay. Isn't that when we hear people are gluten-free, there are people who don't eat wheat?
Correct.
Okay. And corn is obviously something pretty common in American cuisine as well.
Yes.
Corn starch is a major ingredient in a lot of commercial foods.
Correct.
With respect to this yellow pepper, none of the items that you actually purchased in terms of the combo meal actually had a yellow pepper in them.
Correct.
And so your thought was that perhaps there was a yellow pepper in the sauce packet?
Yes.
Okay. But, I mean, you don't know for sure that this is a yellow pepper in the stomach contents, do you?
Microscopically, it's consistent with a yellow pepper. It has all the histological cellular structures as a pepper does.
Okay. But, I mean, haven't you previously told me when I interviewed you that there were like a million other possibilities that this item could be?
Misstatement.
Well, I don't know if it's a misstatement or not, counsel. He can certainly indicate that it's a misstatement, but
Mr. Schneck, didn't you tell me previously that there were a million other possibilities that this item could be that you ultimately determined to be a yellow pepper?
are you, if he says no, are you going to testify, counsel? Or do you have this written down?
I have this transcript.
Okay, all right. Then show him the transcript.
May I have this mark, please?
Defendant's Exhibit 120.
May I approach the witness?
You may.
Mr. Schneck, I'm handing you Defendant's Exhibit 120. Do you remember when I interviewed you over the phone on June 13th, 2013?
Yes.
And that was an interview where the prosecutors were also present on the phone?
Correct.
Does that look like it's a transcript of our interview?
Yes, it does.
Would you please turn to page 33? And why don't you read the first half of the page and let me know when you're finished doing that.
Okay. Speaker Cooper Offenbecker?
Just tell me, are you finished reading it?
Oh, I thought you wanted me to read it out
No.
loud. Oh, I'm sorry. I was
Okay.
gonna. Yes.
And-
No, I haven't then.
Okay, just read it to yourself, the first half of the page.
Yes.
And didn't you tell me in the interview that you couldn't think of any other thing that this item could be other than a yellow pepper, but that there's a million possibilities?
Well, what I was referring to as a million possibilities, there's probably more than that in terms of cellular structures out there that have some similarities and differences too. That's what books on histology are about. There's thousands of pages of histological specimens. That wasn't referring to this particular item as saying there was 1 million other things that look just like it. That's not what I was inferring.
You're referring to the universe of potential foods out there.
Yes.
You looked at the contents of the hot sauce packet under a microscope, didn't you? And one of the things you saw in the hot sauce packet was green spices.
Is there a particular page in my notes you're referring to with that?
Yes, page 3.
Page 3. Okay, my notes on the hot and original sauce packed. Yellow tubular rolled up structures. These are just my bench notes. Seeds, green, red grains, and spices.
So, did you see green spices in the hot sauce packet?
I saw green materials, whether there probably are spices, yes. Green structures.
When you looked at Nicole Pietz's stomach contents, you didn't see any green spices.
No, I did not.
Mayor, if I may have one moment. Yeah, I don't have any other questions at this time.
All right. Do you have any written record? If you do, how much?
I do, we probably should break. It's a, yeah, probably.
We got lunch recess. Anything else before we send the defendant up? All right, officer. Let's see, I'll take this folder.